Hey everyone, this is Riddle Hagaraja Raven. I'm here with my recap and review of Animal Kingdom Season number 6, episode number 10, which is titled Clink. And we have only 3 more episodes left. And of course, I'm looking forward to seeing what's going to happen to the Cody men that are still alive. I have a feeling that one of them is going to die. I have a feeling that it possibly is going to be Andrew, but let's see what happens. Anyway, the episode opens up with Deran and Joshua talking to this guy named Finnegan, if I'm not wrong. So basically, it's been a few weeks. Andrew is in jail, and these two are talking to Finnegan because they want Andrew to stay protected inside jail. And Finnegan is like, hey, don't worry about it. My men are keeping Andrew safe. And yeah, Joshua is concerned. Joshua is like, you know what? He might snitch. They might force him to say something. And Deran is like, Joshua, you know better. You know that Andrew will never say anything that's going to harm the family. But still, this episode actually showed Joshua continuing to be paranoid over Andrew, possibly ending all of them from jail. And yeah, Joshua, his dark side came out a lot in this episode. So we get to see this guy. He is basically Andrew's new cellmate, and he tries to talk to Andrew. I think he's reading the Bible, and he's talking about these religious passages, and Andrew doesn't want anything to do with that. Andrew's like, I know that my family is paying you to keep me safe and keep my eye on me. How much money do you need in order to stay quiet? And yeah, the guy is like, you know what, Andrew? You can't survive this jail on your own, so you need us, so get with the program. And then we cut to the Cody house, and Craig's there. Deran is packing some stuff that he needs to take to Andrew that he wanted, like extra spare clothes, underwear, other stuff. And yeah, this is where Deran is like, you know what, Craig, you need to go and meet Andrew. It's been weeks, and Craig doesn't want to do that, even though Craig still cares about Andrew because he gives Deran some money to give to Andrew. And yeah, you can tell that Craig feels conflicted, and also Craig talks to Deran about what Ren has decided. So yeah, it turns out that Ren is indeed going to take Nick to Texas, and Deran is like, what about you? How are you going to meet Nick? And Craig is like, you know what, we'll figure it out. I'll probably end up going to Texas a couple of months in order to be with him. And yeah, it's a mess. It's complicated. And yeah, again, Deran is like, you know what, you need to go and meet Andrew. And Craig is like, no, I'm not ready. So we go back in time, and we see Julia being a bit annoyed by Smurf because she's like, it's my mail. Why would you open my mail, Smurf? And Smurf is like, hey, it had the words SATs on it. I thought it was from the bank. And no, Julia's like, no, it's not from the bank. It's my SAT scores. So it turns out that she got a good score. And yeah, Janine is kind of impressed, even though she ends up teasing Julia that, you know what, if you want to stay in school, if you want to stay 4 years more in the library, sucking up to teachers, be my guest. I just want something better for you, Julia. And Julia is like, you know what, Smurf? I just wanted to see how well I would do. I haven't made any decisions about whether or not I want to continue my education. And next time, don't open my mail. And this is also where Julia is like, you know what, Smurf is like, you know what, Julia, wait. I actually want you and Andrew to do a job for me. And of course, Smurf knows that Julia and Andrew aren't on talking terms, even right now. But she wants the job done. Ooh, someone's messaging me. Anyway, back to it later. So yeah, she's like, you know what, I need the job done. And Julia's like, why can't Bass handle it? He's the one handling this job, right? And Julia's like, well, he's busy doing all of the planning and everything. I just want you to do this one thing for me, okay? So do it. And Julia, of course, she reluctantly agrees. And then we cut to the prison, and yeah, this random guy, he ends up bumping into Andrew. He's very angry at Andrew, and Andrew gets up in order to fight him. And the rest of the guys that are keeping an eye on Andrew, they're like, wait, this isn't the time. Don't do it, Andrew. Don't get into trouble. And then we cut to the Cody house, and yeah, the Codys are talking to lawyers. They're going over their options about what they can do with Andrew. So it turns out that this entire case is going to cost him a lot if it goes to trial. I guess it's like $100,000. And even then, Andrew is possibly going to get, 25 years, which is a lot, also considering his age. And the lawyers talk about how Andrew has a history with mental issues and that they can use that in order to lessen his sentencing. And they also talk about how he wasn't provided counsel when he gave the confession, and that and that they can use his disassociation from reality in order to basically void the confession and all of that stuff. But there's still a chance that Andrew is going to be facing a lot of prison time in his life. So of course Joshua isn't happy about it. Joshua is like, you know what? The longer that Andrew stays in prison, the prison people are going to use his mental issues against him, and they're going to pump him full of medications. Then they're going to send a snitch in there, and then they're going to make him confess about everything that the family has done, and the police is going to come after us next. So we need to take care of Joshua. Oh, also. I forgot. The lawyers tell Joshua and the rest of the Codys that there's this woman named Amy who basically knows about everything that Andrew did, and that she knows that Andrew killed a woman, Catherine. So that's an issue that they need to handle as well. And if they go to trial, then Amy will be called to trial as well. Lena will be called to trial too. And yeah, this is where Joshua is like, you know what, we need to handle the Andrew situation. We can't just let him stay alive in prison. And Deran and Greg are like, you know what, Joshua, we can't just leave Andrew. If we were in the same predicament, he would do anything in his power to help us. So we are doing this. We need to help Andrew. If the lawyer, whatever the lawyers are saying, we need to think about it. And this is also where Greg is like, well, you know what? Why don't you just break him out? And Joshua is like, what the heck? And Greg is like, yeah, we have an option to break him out. Why don't we just break him out? And I'm like, okay. So I guess that the upcoming 3 episodes are basically going to be the Codys planning to see if breaking Andrew out is even possible. That could be interesting. And then Joshua is like, well, yeah, let's put a pin in it. Why don't we come back to this Amy woman? Why don't we get rid of Amy? Why don't we get rid of Lena? And I'm like, what the heck, Joshua? And even Deran is like, Joshua, we don't go after kids, okay? We don't go after kids. Do you understand? And Joshua's like, And I'm like, yep, that little murderer, that side of him is coming out. So again, flashback, Julia and Andrew are driving towards the job, and Julia continues to try and get Andrew to talk to her, and she's like, you know what, Andrew, I get that you think that what happened between me and Baz is weird, but it's because you're my brother. That's why you think it's weird. It's not weird. It's natural. And yeah, Andrew is still not talking to her. So we cut to Deran paying a visit to Andrew, and this is where he wants Andrew to go to trial, and Andrew's like, no, I don't want none of this to go to trial. I want to stay in prison. Whatever sentence they give me, I'll accept it, and I don't want this to go to trial because I don't want Lena getting involved in the trial. I don't want Amy getting involved in the trial. And this is where Deran is like, well, if you say that, what about this? What if Amy never makes it to trial? Basically implying that they're going to get rid of Amy and threaten her. And Ernest's like, no, I'm telling you right now, nothing happens to Lena, nothing happens to Amy. And he hangs up and he asks the guard to take him away. So we cut to Joshua and he's talking to this guy, and apparently their next job is basically stealing sneakers, I guess. I could be wrong. So while these two are talking, Joshua gets a call, and yeah, Joshua tells whoever he's speaking to, he's like, you know what, I need information on Amy. So yeah, I'm like, oh no, maybe Joshua will take things into his own hands and he might end up killing Amy. Who knows? So Deran and Craig come back to the bar, and they're still talking about what to do with Andrew, and that Andrew doesn't want to go to trial. He doesn't want anything to happen to Amy. And this is where Deran notices that the surfboard that Travis gave him, I think his name was Travis, I could be wrong. So the surfboard that Travis gave him, it's missing. They check the safe. The safe is okay because Deran ended up taking away the cash from in there. But yeah, someone did break into the bar, and Greg is angry about it. Greg is like, yup, I knew this was going to happen with Smurf dead, with Andrew in jail. People are playing with us. We need to handle this situation, Deran. So we cut to Smurf paying a visit to Baz at his new house, and he's throwing a party, and Baz ends up introducing Smurf to a new girl that he's hooking up with, and Smurf is like, okay, aren't you pretty? And I'm like, oh. So basically Smurf is here because she wants to throw everyone a party because the job went through and it was successful, and she wants Baz to feel appreciated. So Vince decides to pay Greg a visit, and he's like, hey, I haven't seen you in a few weeks. Are you okay? Are you doing well? Are you still on the right path? And Greg is like, yeah, I'm still on the right path, don't worry about me, I've just been busy. So we cut to the prison, and yeah, the guys who were keeping an eye on Andrew, they won't leave him alone, and Andrew has had enough of it, and Andrew's like, no, I need you to leave me alone, I'm not asking. So reluctantly, the three men, they distance themselves away from Andrew, and that was a mistake because the guy that bumped into Andrew before, he decides to stab Andrew, and yeah, I'm like, that's exactly what's going to happen because Pete's people are angry at Andrew, other people are angry at Andrew, so of course this was going to happen. So Andrew has been injured, and Deran decides to go to an attack, basically threaten Tommy because he thinks that Tommy's the one who stole the surfboard, and Tommy's like, wait, Deran, I would never steal anything from you. All of the years that I've spent working for you, I've been loyal. So why would you think that I would steal a surfboard? And Deran's like, hey, I'm sorry. It's just that a lot of things have been happening. I'm under a lot of pressure. And Tommy's like, yeah. Everyone heard about Andrew being in jail, and people are talking. People are saying that the Codys are weak and they're going to attack the Codys because they're going to exploit the weakness. And this is where Tommy talks about how people are talking about Andrew being in prison, Baz is scattering, went missing, Adrian went missing, and I'm like, oh, we got an Adrian mention. Yeah, finally, after all these episodes, someone mentioned Adrian. So yeah, so it turns out that the Cody family is in trouble because there's a void. There's a void now when it comes to who's going to run Oceanside, and the Codys, they're a big target. So we cut to Craig. He goes to meet Vince, and this entire scene, it just made me sad. It just made me sad because Craig decides to ruin Vince's journey of sobriety, and he brings drugs. He places the drugs in front of Vince. He takes drugs in front of Vince, and he's like, Vince, you talk a big game about staying on the right path and everything. You have this holier than thou air going around about you, and I don't like that. You're just the same as me. The drugs call you to worse them and everything. And Vince is like, hey, Craig, I understand that you're going through a lot, and yeah, the drugs still call me, but I have the power to not listen to them and everything, and you need to get back on the right path too. So Joshua decides to pay Deran a visit, and he's like, what happened here? And Deran was like, well, someone broke into the bar, and yada, yada, yada. So Joshua's like, so, did you talk to Andrew? And he's like, yeah, I talked to Andrew, and Andrew doesn't want anything to happen to Amy. And Joshua's like, you know what? I'm putting my foot down. Andrew doesn't get to decide what's going to happen to the family next. He put himself in this situation, and I won't allow him to take all of us down with him. And before Deran can basically argue with Joshua about this, he gets a call, and yeah, Andrew got attacked. However, Andrew is okay. It's just a bit of stitches. And Deran is like, you know what? I'm going to go and talk to Pete's people. And Joshua is like, you know what? I'm going to go and talk to Finnegan because Andrew shouldn't have been attacked in the first place. And then we cut to Julia and Andrew. After they got the cables, they're driving home not home, my bad. They're going to the place where they need to deliver the cables, and on their ride there, Julia talks about how it wasn't right for Smurf to send him to have sex with that woman. It was Andrew's first time. It's not supposed to happen like that, and Andrew just stays mum, and Julia's like, you know what? I'm going to continue talking about this unless you say something, Andrew. So you want me to talk about you having sex with that woman? And this is where Andrew tells Julia that, you know what, I ended up learning how to kickflip. So yeah, Andrew is okay with Julia again, and Julia's like, Andrew, this is what matters, okay? I love talking to you, and I want you to love talking to me as well, because you and I, that's all that matters. Whatever happens with Baz, whatever happens with Smurf, we have each other. And yeah, so these two have mended their relationship. And then we cut to Andrew. He's been stitched up. He comes back, and the guys that are protecting him, they're like, you know what? You getting attacked, that's bad for business. So you dying in this prison, we're going to lose a lot of money, okay? So we want you to remain calm, to remain chill. Can you do that for us? And Andrew's like, yeah, I can do that. But of course, Andrew doesn't do that because he notices the guy that stabbed him. We'll get to it in a bit. So Vince decides to take Greg to this backyard wrestling tournament happening, and this is where Vince tells Greg that this is what I do. Whenever I hear the call of the drugs, this is how I end up refocusing my energy and my strength and strengthening my willpower. So you know what? You have a lot of feelings right now, so I want you to fight. And Greg is like, who am I fighting? And Vince is like, you're fighting me, Greg. You're fighting me. So flashback, Smurf is enjoying the party with teenagers, or maybe they're like 18 plus, right? Hopefully. So this kid starts flirting with Smurf, and he's like, can I get you another drink? And Smurf is like, yeah, I'll come with you. So yeah, Smurf decides to hook up with this guy, and as she's closing the door, she ends up giving a glance to Baz, because basically she's trying to make Baz jealous, and yeah, Baz is jealous, and the girl that Baz is currently hooking up with, she notices that. So basically, I guess that the rest of the kids or the teens, they are noticing that there's this weird sexual tension between Smurf and Baz, even though Smurf is supposed to be a mother figure to Baz. It's weird. So Vince and Greg, they start fighting, and yeah, Greg becomes very, very serious. He ends up hitting Vince. There's blood. Greg gets hit. It's just bad because Greg isn't into it. Greg is like, you know what? I understand what you're trying to do, but this isn't for me. So he knocks Vince down and he walks away. So Joshua ends up talking to Finnegan, and he's like, Finnegan, why the heck did Andrew get attacked? And Finnegan is like, hey, my men tried to protect him, but he doesn't want protection. It's as if Andrew has a death wish. So what the heck am I supposed to do with a person like that? And this is where Joshua is like, well, you need to understand that my uncle isn't mentally stable, so we need to come up with a different arrangement. And Finnegan is like, what kind of arrangement is that? So basically, Joshua is implying that he wants Andrew off the board. He wants Andrew to be killed. And Finnegan's like, are your uncles on board with this? And Joshua's like, well, my uncles don't need to know about this. So you know what? Only you and I, we'll figure this out, and you need to wait for my call. And I'm like, Joshua, really? Again, I knew that Joshua was going to do something like this. So Greg has been beaten up. Vince walks to him, and Vince is like, Greg, you know what? There's still a chance, okay? You feel that you have hit rock bottom, but you can still come back up. And Greg is like, no. My son needs me, my girlfriend needs me, and I'm the bottom. I'm the rock bottom. That's how I was raised to be, and this is just my reality, that I'm going to keep on spiraling. There is no right path for me. So he walks away. So Julia and Andrew, they make the delivery. Julia gets paid, and Julia ends up stealing a bunch of dollars. And I'm like, Julia, really? Do you really think that Smurf isn't going to count the envelope? Do you really think that she's going to let you steal from her? Like, Julia, you need to be smarter than this. So Andrew notices the guy who stabbed him, and yeah, he couldn't remain calm, and he ends up attacking the guy. He tries to strangle him. The police come in, and yeah, the police have no other choice but to take him to solitary confinement. And while that's happening, Deran ends up talking to Tina, and Tina is like, and he's like, hey, how's Pete? And Tina is like, well, he's getting used to the glass eye after Andrew took his eye out. So why are you here, Deran? And Deran is like, Tina, why don't we let bygones be bygones? You know how Henry is. He's unpredictable. What he did to Pete is unforgivable, but we need to move on, okay? It's the Codys and the Trejos forever, right? And Tina is like, you know what, Deran? It's just not me, okay? Other people want Andrew dead as well. And no, there isn't going to be some sort of arrangement between us, because what Andrew did, it hurt the trust, the respect that our families have for each other. Smurf was able to keep a leash on Andrew, but you couldn't do that, and now you have to face the consequences. So yeah, I guess that the days of the Cody family staying in Oceanside, they're numbered. So Greg goes back to the house. Deran is there as well, and Darren's like, what the heck happened to you? And Greg is like, it doesn't matter. So this is where he ends up telling Greg about his conversation with the Trujillos, and that the Trujillos want Andrew dead. And yeah, they need to figure out something. Again, the days of the Codys possibly staying in Oceanside, they're coming to a close, and Greg is like, maybe it's time for us to go. Maybe I'll go to Texas. So maybe you need to think about your future as well, Deran. And I'm like, Deran, yeah, leave the bar, find Adrian, move in with Adrian, leave the country. So we get the flashback, and Smurf is very happy that her kids were able to pull the job. They got the money, and this is where Smurf is like, Julia, I need to talk to you. You know what, beautiful girl, baby girl, I support you. I support your dreams about continuing your education and everything, but at the right time. This isn't the right time, Julia. And Julia's like, you know what, Smurf, I understand as well. So I've been thinking, and yeah, I'll focus on what we have right here. And Julia notices that Smurf notices that Andrew and Julia are back to talking again, and that makes Smurf very, very happy because she's like, you know what, kids, this is a family business, so we need to stick together. So she's just happy that her kids are on board and everyone is talking. And I'm like, yep, you can tell right now that Baz was never specifically a part of Smurf's family. So we cut to Andrew, and he's getting drugged, and yeah, they're like, eat this, eat these, eat these. Not eat, my bad, swallow these pills. I think they threaten him. They're like, either you take these pills or we put you in solitary confinement, like the actual solitary confinement. And Andrew's like, okay, I'll take them. So the episode comes to a close with the Codys again deciding what to do about Andrew, and Joshua's like, hey, I ended up learning who this Amy woman is, and she has a police detail on her, I guess. I could be wrong, but I think that she is being protected, and that Joshua's like, we can still talk to her, we can still take her out. And they're like, no, we aren't going to do that, but what we are going to do is we're going to break Andrew out of prison. And Joshua's like, how the heck are we going to do that? Are we going to use a tank or whatnot? And I'm like, you know what? I think that Vince's Gatling gun that he had, that's going to come into play later on. And again, Joshua is like, and also these two talk about how, Craig and Deran, talk about how it might be time to leave Oceanside. And Joshua's like, no, don't do that. We can still continue doing what we do without Andrew, even if he dies or whatnot. And Deran and Craig is like, you don't understand, Joshua, you don't understand. This is a family business. There's no business without Andrew, so we need to break him out. We have to do this. And Joshua realizes that his uncles are going to work together. And even from the framing of the scene, you can see that Joshua is here while these two are closer. And Joshua isn't a fan of that, but he has no other choice but to agree with his uncles for now. Because again, Joshua, I guess, has a plan on the back burner, that agreement that he has with Finnegan, that if he tells Finnegan to do it, that Finnegan will allow Andrew to be killed, or maybe he'll send a guy to kill Andrew himself. So yeah, Joshua, at this point, he's like, okay, uncles, I'm on board with whatever plan your guys have about breaking Andrew out, but he has a plan B. If push comes to shove, Joshua has a plan B. So yeah, if I end up doing a written review of this for the Geek Theory, the link to my review will be down in the comment section below. It was an enjoyable episode because we got to see that Deran and Craig are interested in breaking Andrew out, while Joshua isn't, and Joshua doesn't understand the concept of family business that Smurf instilled on her sons. And yeah, that's going to clash. That's clashing with what Joshua wants to build in Oceanside. Anyway, let me know what you thought of the episode down in the comment section below. And until next time, stay happy, stay safe, stay blessed. See you guys later. Bye.